You. Earlier this week, thousands were without power across the city. That number cut down drastically as CPS Energy restored power to much of San Antonio.
This is a look at the current outage map. More than 10,000 households are still without power. That's a massive improvement from just 24 hours ago when 226,000 were without power.
Eyewitness News reporter Mariah Medina shares how restoring that power was possible and what to expect in the coming days.
While power is still not restored across San Antonio and Texas, we've had significant improvement overnight, and the need for statewide outages is now suspended.
Nearly 200,000 CPS Energy customers had power restored overnight, leaving just under 7,000 without power.
We're actually in a really good place. The outage process that we had that took so many customers down has been suspended.
The state lifted the need for outages last night. CPS Energy says currently none of its customers are being subject to rolling outages. And those still without power, CPS Energy says due in large part to equipment failures. While those are fixes the utility company is equipped to handle, getting crews out to those houses could be a challenge.
We had a few of our crews over the last couple of days stranded trying to get to customers. Some crews slept in their vehicles, some crews couldn't get out of the service center.
CPS Energy CEO Paula Gold-Williams warning we aren't yet out of the woods and could go back to rolling outages if energy consumption skyrockets. But there is a way to prevent that from happening.
I think the next biggest point to make is more than anything, what we've seen is what's making a difference is conservation. Conservation, conservation, conservation.
Mariah Medina, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.
Governor Greg Abbott spoke about the power situation today. He says within the past 24 hours, power has been restored to nearly 2 million homes across Texas. Despite the dramatic shift, Governor Abbott warns more cold temperatures could jeopardize power again.
ERCOT will continue to work to manage the power to ensure that power will not go down in residential areas across the state, but we still have to deal with the uncertainty of what is going on at the power generation facilities. We hope and anticipate no location will be without power tonight.
The governor says he is also working to make sure Texans have clean water available. Governor Abbott is asking President Biden to approve a major disaster declaration. If granted, Texans will be able to apply for assistance from FEMA.